The city of St. Clair in Michigan. Monday, January 27th, 2014. 59-year-old Donna Scrivo walked into the police station and filed a missing persons report. Her son, 32-year-old Ramsay, had left their home the previous day at 6:30 p.m. He'd gone to the shop and he'd simply just not come back. He often popped out to buy cigarettes, sometimes visiting the local bars as well, but she'd checked everywhere she could think of. She had been calling his phone non-stop, but there had been no answer at all, no texts, nothing. Even though Ramsay was a little older and standard protocol might have been to wait it out a bit longer, Donna said her son had been diagnosed with psychosis, depression and paranoia. She said he was a danger to himself and even now had temporary guardianship on an emergency basis because he was suicidal. He had been devastated by the recent loss of his father Daniel, who had been ill for some time. Ramsay had been in and out of work for many years, but nothing had really stuck. He'd trained as an accountant but resigned after a supervisor criticised his work. He then went into construction and even tried his hand at starting a lawn maintenance business. When he turned 30, it was said his dad was the only person that would employ him, so he started working there, but this too failed to last. Ramsay then faced charges of assault, trespassing and reckless driving after getting into a brawl in a bar. He also had a crown removed from his tooth because he thought someone had planted it in there as a speaker. As well as this, he was developing issues with drugs and alcohol, with Donna saying he had even stolen some of his father's morphine. It seemed his mental health issues, coupled with him trying to process his father's decline, meant that he just couldn't get things together. And overall, it had been a tough few years for the family. Donna had suffered a heart attack, beaten cancer, and now Daniel was fighting against hepatitis C that would ultimately take his life. On May 15, 2013, Donna's husband of 25 years and Ramsay's father died. Ramsay was a shell of his former self. Donna had always been more of the disciplinarian when it came to him, but Daniel always had his back, protected him, and the pair had been very close. Just the day after Daniel passed away, Donna petitioned the court to hospitalise her son after it seemed as though he'd had a nervous breakdown. Ramsay consented and the court agreed too. A few weeks later though, Ramsay told the court he planned to end the guardianship in 6 months' time. He said he wanted to cooperate with ongoing treatment, take his medication and listen to his mom. Ramsay said he feared someone was trying to poison him, and Donna said he had stopped taking his medication. Donna, a registered nurse, then moved into her son's condo after her place had been damaged in a fire. Daniel and Donna had bought the condo for Ramsay, and he had often stayed between both homes. He could be close to his parents but also have his independence. But now, on January 27, 2014, Ramsay was missing. Due to his charges from the brawl, police contacted his probation officer, but he knew nothing, and said Ramsay just taking off and disappearing was not something he ever did. Police asked Donna for a photograph of her son so the news could put a story out, but Donna was reluctant to do this, not wanting to get the media involved, saying she didn't want her son's problems and mental health issues plastered everywhere. She wanted to protect his reputation. Respecting her decision, they moved on to trying to track the phone and debit and credit cards, but they got no luck there. It seemed that no cards had been used in days. They did locate his phone in a random garden and contacted his cell phone provider to get more information. It had been a bitterly cold winter, one of the coldest recorded in 100 years. And if he was out there somewhere, without his coat, medication, phone or much money, things were getting more concerning with each passing hour. He lived near a huge lake which was now completely frozen over. Fearing he could have fallen into the icy water, they started searching there too. January 30th, 2014. About 40 miles from where the Scrivos lived, things got more rural and quiet. So much so that the smallest things stood out to the people who lived there. Two friends, Andrea and Andrea, were driving that afternoon to pick their kids up from school when they noticed something out of place. Some bags had been left on the side of the road in St. Clair Shores, and something was lying in the road. They initially thought that maybe a hunter had left something they had killed there, or it was an animal that had maybe been hit by a car. They decided to have a closer look and then move whatever it was off the road, but it was not the remains of an animal. It was a human head. Police got there and soon located 5 bags in total scattered around. An electric saw covered in blood was in one bag, some clothes and burned papers were in another, and the other 3 bags were full of body parts. The victim was a white male in his late 20s or 30s, and he had been killed in the last few days.
There was a call that came in yesterday around 4:30, and the report was that somebody was fly dumping or dumping trash along the side of the road. When investigators came out to check it out, that's when they found body parts in several different garbage bags. Some of the body parts included a head and a torso. Initially, they couldn't identify the sex. Now, as you said, they believe it is a single male man who was disposed of after his body parts were separated into these trash bags. Then this morning, they got another call about a piece of trash in a bag outside of an off-ramp nearby. They reported that in that bag they found clothing that was charred and some paperwork that was related to the case, but no more body parts. They're hoping that with the information they have, with the paperwork and the clothing, and now this autopsy, they'll be able to piece this together. But at this point, they do not have a victim identified.
Little did anyone know at the time, it was the missing Ramsay Scrivo. Because the bags were 30 minutes away from where Ramsay had gone missing with a different police station, the dots weren't connected. One witness said they had seen a woman in a light-coloured SUV dropping the bags at the side of the road. They assumed it was just someone cheekily dumping rubbish. Working off of this person's timing, they went backwards. A nearby gas station showed the vehicle and the woman driving it. The police stressed that this woman was not a suspect, only a person of interest.
Those body parts were found in and out of black garbage bags tossed right over there by a woman in an SUV. She dumped those body parts and she was noticed. Thrown from a mid-1990s GMC Jimmy or Chevy Blazer like this one, possibly light gray in color or a dirty white.
It's so scary, I can't even put it into words, the concept of why, what kind of person could kill somebody to begin with and then throw their body parts around.
We want to get right to that video we just got. Take a look. This is the SUV that investigators here in St. Clair County Sheriff's Department are looking for. It is a mid to late 90s model SUV. The video came from surveillance cameras at a nearby store. Now, this is the person of interest that investigators are looking for. You can see this woman inside of a store. I asked the sheriff here why they are looking to speak to her. All he would say is that their investigation led them in this direction. The medical examiner right now is doing an autopsy, but investigators right now are trying to find this woman seen in that video. Again, a person of interest. They've been getting tips since yesterday afternoon, but they're still trying to solve this case. Throughout this small town just off of I-94, residents can't stop thinking about it.
What goes through their mind when they're doing it? It's horrible. It's just a horrible thing.
Identification of the deceased and notification is first and foremost.
Soon the news about the bags had spread further afield, and Donna, seeing the news, called the detectives investigating her son's disappearance. Had they found him? She asked. Investigators called the medical examiner all those miles away and asked for a description of the male. They did not disclose this to Donna right away, but it did fit Ramsay. He had been dismembered, burned and mutilated. Ramsay's phone data was now with the detectives, and this was where their investigation took another turn. No messages to anyone and no calls. Not a single missed call either. Despite what Donna had told them, she hadn't been calling him at all. Now the local police were almost positive that it was Ramsay that had been found. They learned of the person of interest in the SUV that was in the news clips. There was no doubt in their minds. It was Donna. They then went to talk to the employee at the gas station who remembered serving her, describing her as panicky and frantic. Up until this point, they hadn't confirmed to Donna that it was her son's remains in the bags, and they'd asked her to come in to talk to them. The detectives told her her hunch when she called in had sadly been right. Donna got teary and asked if they were sure. Unable to sit on what they knew about her being in the SUV, they quizzed her on her whereabouts and her car. They asked Donna about driving the SUV in the area, but she said she had never been down those roads in her life. But the SUV was in fact her late husband's, and, interestingly, she had given it to a charity just hours after she was seen in it. When they showed Donna the photographs of her at the gas station, she instantly changed her story and said yes, it was her. She denied killing her son though, and said she was just driving around there to look for him. When the detective said, well, what happened then? He didn't just fall apart at the side of the road. She replied, "I think I need an attorney." They definitely had enough to arrest her for dumping his remains, but they knew there simply had to be more to this already twisted story. Amazingly, her vehicle was still where she'd dropped it, and a quick look inside turned up blood. Ramsay's blood. When they went into Ramsay's condo, they were instantly hit with the thick smell of bleach. One neighbour told the police that the smell had been really strong, so strong in fact she could smell it without even being close to the condo. Bloodstains belonging to Ramsay were found throughout his home too, but most of the blood was in the bathroom. He had been dismembered in his bathtub and there were burn marks on the side of the bath. They then found a receipt for a purchase of a circular saw that had been bought just before she turned up at the station to report her son as missing, and surveillance footage showed Donna purchasing this very saw. Another neighbour said she had looked outside that morning to see Donna loading the black bags into the SUV and struggling a lot to pick them up. She didn't see another soul around though, it was just her. Donna was charged with the dismemberment, disinterment and mutilation of Ramsay and held on a $100,000 bond which was soon raised.
Mother accused of mutilating and dumping her son's body will have to come up with more money if she wants to get out of jail tonight. A judge raised Donna Scrivo's bond from $100,000 to $250,000 cash after finding out she didn't tell the truth about her finances. Meantime, police are building a case of premeditated murder against her.
Because the autopsy, the medical examiner's report is not complete. It's inconclusive right now, so the pending murder case still rests with the medical examiner. 59-year-old Donna Scrivo was soft-spoken and appeared shell-shocked with a small courtroom full of media and some family friends. She's only charged with mutilating a body, a 10-year felony, and moving a body from the place of death, a 1-year misdemeanor. Police will only say she admitted to being in that county. Trouble escalated for the family last year, starting with the death of her husband in May, the family home burning in July. But people who know the family say that, and now all of this makes no sense.
She doted on him, you know, like all mothers do with their sons, and I can't get my head around that.
So, Jim, how long before we know what actually killed this young man?
Well, it's going to be toxicology. That could take several days, and police and the sheriff from St. Clair County refused to discuss whether there were any other visible signs of trauma. Was her son beaten? Was he poisoned? That remains to be seen.
Detectives were still working on the murder charge though, as they couldn't prove that part yet. The police chief said these charges that were brought are not the end of the case. We are still working diligently on a murder investigation at this time.
Well, right now, this is the latest. We have learned that the medical examiner is performing an autopsy on those human remains.
He had died from asphyxiation, had ligature marks on his neck, and blunt force trauma to the head and shoulders. He had an almost fatal level of Xanax in his system as well. According to Donna, Ramsay did take Xanax and often abused other prescription drugs, but investigators believe that from the amount in his system, Donna had drugged him with it. The prescription for the Xanax was in Donna's name. It had recently been topped up, but when it was found, it only had one pill left. Investigators believe she drugged him with an almost lethal dose, rendering him unconscious. She then strangled him and dismembered him in the bath. She was finally charged with first-degree murder as well. As Donna sat in the mental health unit in jail, the investigation was still moving, and detectives also started looking into the fire in Donna and Daniel's house, which had resulted in her moving in with Ramsay all those months ago. She had initially told her insurance company that no one was home when it happened, but they learned that this was not true when they looked at the reports from the fire department.
The fire here at Donna Scrivo's house started right downstairs in the basement. Well, now the defenders have uncovered surprising new information. It's all laid out in these documents, and you will see in a moment exactly why police are taking a look back at this fire and trying to figure out what really happened. Today, a dumpster remains in the driveway, and tonight there are more questions about what really happened here the day of that fire. According to these police reports we just received, at the time of the fire, Scrivo told police no one was home when that fire broke out. But these documents from the fire marshal we received today tell a much different story. Not only was Scrivo home, home, but so too was her son, Ramsay. In fact, when the fire broke out, Ramsay was fast asleep in the basement, just feet away from where that fire started. Investigators close to the case at the time believed a faulty hot water heater sparked that blaze, but now some are questioning whether this fire was intentionally set and whether Donna was trying to harm her son. Police will only say tonight they're looking into it.
The fire had been started in the basement where Ramsay often slept. He made it out safely, but it did beg the question, had this really been an accident? People that knew Donna, though, were really stunned. All her friends said she was kind, caring, an exemplary nurse. She doted on both her sons and her husband, and no one could see her hurting anyone, let alone doing something so disturbing. Police said that they had had contact with the pair of them in the past over domestic problems. Nothing had gotten physical, but it had been described as noise and disorderly complaints. Donna pleaded not guilty to everything, and an examination determined that she was competent to go to trial. But her lawyer wanted a second opinion, not only to see if she could go to trial and testify in her own defence, but also whether she knew right from wrong. Her lawyer said, "The times I have seen her in the jail, she's been in and out of reality. She's got some rough issues, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not competent to say what her mental status was on that day." And in May 2015, Donna went on trial. She opted to testify in her own defence. In court, her story had now changed significantly and dramatically. She said she came home to find a masked man in Ramsay's room, and Ramsay was already dead. The man bound her and held her hostage. He then made her buy the saw and carry the bags containing his body parts to her car, and then discard them. Authorities raised eyebrows. She had been talking to them for over a year, in and out of interviews, and at no point was any of this mentioned. Donna said she had been scared to say anything because the man had threatened to kill her and the rest of her family. The prosecution said it's unspeakable, it's planned, it's premeditated, it's carried out by his mother. It doesn't make any sense. It's because Donna Scrivo is the murderer.
Mark Twain said it best. Mark Twain said an honest man need not have a good memory. Which means we've all had tragedies in our lives that we remember the details of. This has to have been the most tragic thing in her life, yet she can't testify. She's throwing a little hissy fit on Friday because she's got to have her notes. The only reason you need notes is when you've made the story up and you want to be certain that you're consistent within the story. I mean, think about her Monday routine. He's murdered on Saturday night. I still can't get over ordering the pizza on Sunday. Who does that? Who calls Domino's while your son's dead upstairs and orders a pizza? And then Monday morning, we go to Lowe's. We go to Corey Toller at the probation department. We go to the police station to list a missing. We go to the insurance company to report, to sign off on the insurance. We call Mother Waddles to donate the car. And then we return back to Lowe's 2 more times. Like a normal day in the life. I am not going to show you those photographs again. I don't need to. I do apologize for having to show them in the first place. But if you dare to look at them later on, take a look at how large he was and how much effort it would have been with an 1.5-inch saw to rip him away.
The state had a lot of evidence, including all of the ways Donna had reacted when her son went missing, and it had to be pointed out that no one in the area had heard or seen an intruder. 2 residents allegedly reported to seeing a suspicious man in the area, but they were not wearing a mask, nor near the condo. So why would a stranger do this to Ramsay, yet leave Donna unharmed? Nothing had been stolen, there was no break-in, and it just made no sense for this to be someone taking a chance, especially with nothing to gain from it. They said at no point during this ordeal did she call the police. A crazed man had just murdered her son and threatened her life, yet he was happy for her to go out alone to town, to buy a saw, to talk to employees, pop to the gas station, dump the bags, and at no point did she think to call for help. She'd been chatting to family members and friends during this time too. It just seemed ridiculous. One possible motive that the state put forward was that when Donna went to a high school reunion about a year before Ramsay died, she connected with a man there whom she'd been texting and getting on really well with. They had a lot in common and had both recently lost their spouses. Donna then might have felt trapped in her life and situation with Ramsay. As the courts had now issued this guardianship, it was tricky to get out of the situation. Her new love interest lived in Texas, and Ramsay allegedly did not want to move there or even consider it. Removing her son from the picture completely so she could start fresh elsewhere might have been her thought process. But Donna's lawyer said that this was just speculation, and it was largely a circumstantial case. He said none of Ramsay's DNA was found on her body, and vice versa. He also argued that she would not have been able to get him into the bathtub. She weighed 110 pounds, and he was 235 pounds. He said there was no motive, no history of abuse, and no life insurance policy.
I'm not going to walk through all the bits and pieces of testimony and evidence. I know you've been attentive, you've been taking notes. I've watched. I just want to give you some items to think about when you go back into that jury room. Let's focus on the important facts. The lead detective told us her job was to track down all leads. You believe they did that? Did they take Lori Crim seriously when she told police officers there was a suspicious stranger lurking about Mrs. Scrivo's house a few blocks away? No, they wrote it down and put it in a file somewhere and it got buried. They'd have you believe that Mrs. Scrivo made 3 trips to Lowe's to buy a saw when she had 3 power saws in her house. Why would she do that? Why would she risk, if she were the killer, which she isn't, why would she risk making those multiple trips in broad daylight? She never had to leave the house. The stuff was there.
On the stand, Donna frequently clashed with the prosecutor, at one point asking him, "Are you done?" "Oh, I'm just getting started," he replied.
All right, Chris, thank you. We have breaking news now. A mother charged with her son's murder, Donna Scrivo, facing some tough questions from the prosecutor.
You have technology and equipment that can detect blood after cleaning it. If there was something on me, if I did what you said, some of it would have showed on Ramsay. Some of me would have showed on Ramsay. Some of him would have showed on me. And you didn't bag and tag my clothes or anything.
I want to answer this question, okay? You had your chance on direct to repeat that over and over and over, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, okay? Because I'll ask another question. Why did he let you live? Well, I mean, that's just it. I read the papers on Friday. A tornado blows through Kansas. This young couple who live in a mobile home sacrificed their lives to save their 18-month-old child. And here, you do absolutely nothing to save your son Jason, to save the nieces and nephews who sit here with these fake tears crying over, okay? When you say a few minutes ago that you're 61, you have nothing else to live for, they have their whole lives ahead of them, then why don't you sacrifice yourself? Why don't you take a chance? Why don't you do something?
Tell me what you wanted me to do, Mr.
I'll tell you what, he's in the car when you're at the police station hiding in the back of your Ford Escape. Why don't you go to Officer Mason and say, "Officer, the guy, the killer, the intruder, is in the back seat of my car. He just murdered my son in cold blood. He put me in handcuffs. He beat me. He chained me to my bed. And he's in your parking lot. Please help me." He's lived with you for 5 days. He's murdered your son. He's gagged you. He's handcuffed you. And then you want them to believe that he says to you, "You know, I'm leaving now. I'm gone. You better leave the country and go to the airport." That's what he says to you. You were at the police station when he was at the house, and you could have told the police officers right there, "Hey, I'm being held hostage. This guy's in my condo, and he's with my son that he murdered. Please help me." Well, I was hoping for something more realistic. Is that as realistic as we're going to get?
That's what happened.
That's what happened. Where's Ramsay's right arm?
Sir, I don't know.
Where's the dark jacket that you were wearing that day in all those videos?
I don't know.
Whose are the female clothes that we found in all the items that were burnt? Because you're not going to tell me this guy put on your clothing, right? I saw the BP photographs. You say he's in the car. You were in the middle of nowhere. Do you think that Erica Matthews, the cashier at BP, she would give you as little credibility as you say the police officers gave you if you were to say to her, there's a man in my car with body parts of my son. I'm afraid for my life. Can you call the police? I'm going to make a right on this road. I'm going to go straight up this road, and you can find me there. Did you say that?
I didn't say anything.
You had the power in your hands to have him arrested, to have him face the charges of murdering your son. You did nothing at that time at the BP gas station, right?
I'm not going to answer that. I think I did everything to protect the rest of my family. I did exactly what he told me to do, when he told me to do it.
You lied to your mother-in-law that day. You lied to Corey Toller the next day. You lied to Officer Joe Mason. You lied to Detective Ike. You lied to Detective Rickard. You lied to Detective Rude.
Yes, sir.
You lied to all 3 of the Lowe's employees.
I don't believe in whatever. Okay.
Well, I mean, look, chopping up a body is not a household project, is it?
Okay.
When my neighbor was murdered and my father died, I remembered absolutely every detail because it was that important in my life. Your son is murdered before your eyes. Technically, you claim to be in the next room. And you needed your notes on Friday to help you remember. What is it about those notes that wouldn't have been burned into your memory?
She said, "I'm not Mother of the Year. I have multiple problems. I think I did everything to protect the rest of my family." Donna was confident that she would be acquitted and sat stony-faced when the verdict was read out.
Ramsay Scrivo.
Guilty on all counts.
Count 2, guilty of disinterment and mutilation of a dead body. Count 3, dead bodies removing without medical examiner permission. Guilty.
As you can see, she looked surprised but otherwise showed no major emotion as that verdict was read. This followed a dramatic day in court.
The judge said, "Miss Scrivo, yours is perhaps the most heinous crime I've seen in all my years on the bench. The horrific nature of your offence is mind-boggling. Doing what you did to another human being defies belief. You did it to your very own son." In 2015, Donna Scrivo was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole, and the judge said even though it was the harshest sentence she could get, it still didn't feel like it was enough. Even as she was being sentenced, she spoke for about 20 minutes, arguing with the judge and maintaining the stranger in the house story. Andrea and Andrea, who found Ramsay's remains at the side of the road, came to the sentencing, hoping it would give them some closure.
Tell me again how this case has affected you.
How it's affected me?
Right.
I see a severed head every day of my life, and I would like to hopefully close the book, put it on the shelf, and be done with it.
It is a really harrowing case, one that frankly no one will ever know the full details about. What on earth happened that led to a mother to do such an awful and incomprehensible thing? Murder is always horrific, an unimaginable act that leaves behind a lot of devastation. But on a personal level, when a murder involves a dismemberment, we feel it takes on an even more disturbing dimension. It's not just the taking of a human life, it's the deliberate, calculated destruction of someone's body, and how physically someone could do that to anyone, let alone their own child. If you'd like to support our channel and help us to continue to make content, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.